Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I speak to author, speaker, and consultant Mark Mears. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jason. Great to be here.
Awesome. And today we're going to talk about overcoming fear and doubt to achieve growth. It's really good. I mean, I always see FUD in the market. Your FUD is double D, but I'm always seeing FUD with like the crypto market and lots of other things like stocks and people missing out on lots of things happening in the world. Tell me, what your definition of FUD is for our audience.
Yeah, Jason, it's an acronym which stands for fear, uncertainty, doubt, and delay. Now, fear, uncertainty, and doubt have been around for a long time as a misinformation campaign. We see it in governments, even religion, and certainly we've seen it in the political debates and ads.
Sure have.
But in our personal life, we define it as fear is the fear of maybe failing, or what will they think if I leave this and do this, take on this bold aspiration. And then uncertainty is kind of like the risk reward factor, right? Am I uncertain of giving up this comfortable kind of W-2 world to then go write this book and take on the role of entrepreneurship that I don't know what I'm doing? And I think then you have doubts that creep in the back of your mind, like wet cement that begin to harden, that question, well, who are you? You're not.
Isn't there a way to protect yourself from that? I mean, like if entrepreneurs out there that are listening to this and they're saying, yeah, I have that doubt and I have that fear and I don't want to lose my paycheck. Well, can't you just write the book while you're working at your job, like when you get home at night or on the weekends, so that you have that protection? And that way, I mean, do you recommend that to people?
Yeah, it's certainly something I would start versus just leaping out of the nest. It's not something that I did, but I'll tell you that I worked on that book while working and in between jobs for several years. But it took me the focus to get it done, and that's the last D, is the delay, right? So we get fear, we get uncertainty, we get doubt, and then all of a sudden it makes us push off our dreams till someday. We delay. And so the good news is, through my own struggles with FUD, I've come up with the antidote, and it stands for faith is greater than fear. The faith, whether it's in a higher power or faith in yourself and your idea. Hope over uncertainty, the hope of a richly imagined future that you envision for yourself and your family. Then belief overcomes doubts, the belief in yourself, the belief that what you are doing or wanting to do is so powerful that it will push you forward in action, and not just action, but purposeful action.
Right.
Overcome the paralysis of delay.
It sounds a lot like, when I'm talking to entrepreneurs all the time, it sounds like the confidence that they need to be successful, but then also the passion they need behind the product that they're building. So that's like the belief and the faith, right? Confidence and passion. And then with purposeful action, I always tell people you have to have some sort of intent behind what it is you're building, because if not, you're just building it for the sake of building it. But what's the reasoning behind it? So tell me a little bit about that, the reason behind building something, in your case, the purposeful action.
Yeah, because I'm a big believer in purposeful growth, and we'll talk about my book here in a minute. But if you're just in it to make money, I guess that's fine. But how fulfilling is that? If you have a deeper purpose for what your idea can manifest in the lives of others, or maybe in your community, all of a sudden that will get you up on some of the foggiest, rainiest days, and be that shining light that cuts through your FUD and allows you to move forward in purposeful action.
You brought up a good point too. You said if you're just getting up and doing it for the money, then it's, there's nothing really substantive behind that. And what if it fails and you don't make any money? Then there's no passion behind it. And so you just basically are going to set yourself up for disappointment. So what you're saying is, instead of looking for the cash version of it, let's go for the passion and the feeling, the belief, and the meaning behind it, right? The meaning.
I love that you said passion, because I'm a big believer in passion. And I'll say that passion is your purpose, and your purpose is your passion. And if you have that inner fire that drives you each day, that passion that drives you, it will lead you to your purpose and ultimately allow you to be more purposeful, which is an active word. I'm a bigger believer in purposeful because that's something you can do every day in pursuit of some lofty objective. But I don't think we ever really fulfill our purpose until we're finally done.
Right.
You can be
Totally agree.
purposeful every single day
Yeah.
and move the ball forward, get those first downs, and ultimately you'll reach
You
the
got
goal.
to keep moving forward, right? You got to keep
Yeah.
picking away at that list and action items, and just it's a long road. And if you just pick away step by step, you'll get to the end. I want to go back to fear because in my career for decades, people have always said their number one reason why they didn't start that business or they didn't write that book or they didn't build the product is because they were afraid, whether it was because they were afraid to, take time away from their family or lose their job because they weren't focused or whatever. How can somebody overcome the fear in their life or their work?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the antidote is faith. And as someone who's a spiritual person, in the Bible, it says, fear not or be not afraid more times than even the word love.
Interesting.
God doesn't want us to fear. Okay. So we end up kind of putting and attaching a millstone around our neck, and we allow ourselves to be fearful when we don't even know what's going to happen, but we project in our mind. So if you have faith, again, even if you're not a spiritual person, but you have faith in your idea, in faith in who you can serve through your idea, and that could be your family, it could be yourself, it could be professionally, and it could be spiritually. But those, for me, are the four realms of service and that make us whole people. Personally, take care of yourself, professionally, relationally, those you love, and spiritually. And I think connecting all those dots together will help you have the faith to overcome those fears
Makes
that are
sense.
many times unfounded.
Yeah, I like that. And you mentioned the community a while back. It was an interesting word because it's a lot of times in the projects I've worked on, it had nothing to do with money, right? It was more about helping the community in some way overcome something. So talk about serving others in your community and why that's so important.
Yeah, I believe there are four stakeholders in any organization. There are your team members, those who you serve at work. There are your customers or clients, those you serve professionally. There are those who are your business partners,
Mhm.
whether they're manufacturing partners, distributors, shipping folks, agency partners, you name it,
Everybody.
anybody in your business ecosystem. And then there's the community that you serve. And then oftentimes, and I'm a member of Conscious Capitalism Inc., which is an organization whose mission aligns very closely with my own, and that is elevating humanity through business. Firms that are more purposeful are often more profitable. And there are
Mm.
case studies upon case studies that show that. I've run into so many entrepreneurs and business, mid-scale business leaders who say, well, once I get scale and I get, a steady flow of profit, I'll figure out what I can do to maybe skim some off the top to make myself and our team members feel better. Maybe we'll do something at the end of the year. And I'm like, no, you got to build it into your business model.
It's part of the culture.
Yeah. And so when I say community, I say a community versus a culture. And here's why. Jason, I believe words matter. And a culture may be a place someone feels they're merely a part of. That's not bad. But a community is a place someone feels they belong in.
Yeah,
See
I
the
like I
difference?
like that.
We all need to belong. And
And
if
and,
you've
and
got,
plus when you have a community behind you supporting you,
yeah,
success is right around the corner, right? Because you have that if you don't have community supporting you, then you're really battling everyone on your own.
on your own, and you're trying to slay dragons, and you're getting yourself worn down, and you're probably uh, hurting relationships that are important to you, and you don't need to go it alone. And so, for me, in the new book I'm writing, it's all about putting the human back in human resources. And I say to do so, all we need is
Nice.
love, which stands for listen, observe, value, and empower. Listen to what someone's saying with empathy and understanding, but also what they're not saying. We'd be
Sounds like
foolish.
your book has a lot of acronyms in
A
it, which is
couple, just a couple.
which is always nice. It helps you remember things, right? And
It's
you
a
talk
mind
about
handle.
it helps. It helps remember. And you talk about purpose a lot too, which I like. It's something that I always talk to people too, unintentionally. Now that we're talking about it, I realize I'm always saying purpose behind your idea drives innovation. It drives kind of like the end result, right? So talk about how people, because most people, by the way, don't know how to actually take action towards their purpose.
Yeah.
So what steps or advice can you give someone to start taking action toward their purpose?
Yeah, I think it's a simple exercise that takes some introspection and it takes some bouncing it off of others who may see something in you that you don't see in yourself, right? And it comes back to that feeling of being a whole person. So many of your listeners, sure, have heard of Simon Sinek and his Start With Why movement, which really kind of put a spotlight on purpose maybe 12, 14, 15 years ago. But I like to be a bit provocative, and I believe we should start with who, and specifically who we serve
Mm-hmm.
is the first place to start. So think about that yourself, right? Mind, body, spirit, soul. What can you do to improve yourself? Because it's like the flight attendant saying, put the mask on yourself first before assisting another passenger. Because if you don't take care of yourself, nothing matters. So picture a four circle Venn diagram. There's serving yourself, there's serving your personal, and then there's relational, those you love and who are most important to you. Write them down. Who are they? And then professionally, who do you serve at work and with your idea? And write that down. And then spiritually, what connects us all is this idea of love. So again, whether you're religious or not, think about how you want to grow spiritually through this process. That then moves you to your why often, and it's your motivation or purpose or reason for being, right? As the French say. I'm sure I'm going to butcher it, raison d'être.
Raison d'être. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it better than me. Okay, so once you've established the who, and specifically who you serve, you now have your why. Why do you do? What are your motivations? What's your purpose that leads you to your how? How are you uniquely gifted? And how are you going to invest in your gifts to help those four realms of service that lead you to your what? So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? And what's your plan to get there?
Super interesting. And talking about the plan before we talk about your book and your business and how people can contact you, what's just one small step, not for mankind, but what's one small step anyone can take today to grow in a purposeful way?
Yeah, and it's little things. Think about the mustard seed. That's the smallest seed, and yet it grows into the biggest bush and flowering plant, right? So don't think you have to do all this mindset work at once, okay? Give it some time, but get started. So one thing you can do today is take out a pencil and paper or do it on your tablet or iPad, whatever your communication platform of choice is, and just put a four circle diagram that has relational, personal, relational, professional, and spiritual. And start filling in those dots and put it aside, then come back to it. And then kind of ask others and start to craft the foundation, because if you don't have a foundation like a house, it's going to crumble over time. And so I would advise your listeners to just start off with who you serve and start today.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks, Mark. And so where can people find out more information about you and your business and if they want to work with you?
Yeah, the book I've been referring to is called The Purposeful Growth Revolution, 4 Ways to Grow from Leader to Legacy Builder. And you can go to my website at markamears.com. Don't forget the A, Mark, A-M-E-A-R-S. And you can take my Purposeful Growth self-assessment. And it's free, and it takes about 6 minutes, but it will give you a foundation for where you are in your purpose in both work and life. And then you can link in with me. I'd love to connect with your listeners. And then you can follow me, connect with me, subscribe to my newsletter. And ultimately, we can pick up the phone and have a conversation if you'd like to work with me. I inspire individuals, teams, and organizations to find purpose in fulfilling their true growth potential, and in doing so, make a positive, lasting impact on the world.
Fantastic. Find your purpose and grow with Mark, guys, at markamears.com. Check him out on LinkedIn, Mark A. Mears. And don't forget to pick up a copy of his book if you want to grow in your life and your professional world.
It's
Thanks again.
available in audiobook too, by the way, Jason, for those who are not readers, and just any format you want. We got you covered.
Sweet. Thanks again, guys, for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.